recorded live from Studio 12A in sunny Phoenix, Arizona. You're listening to the Josh and Friends Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the Josh and Friends Podcast. I am your host. My name is Josh. And this week's guest is someone I met about 30 years ago. I was in high school and we used to play basketball down the street. And there was this little kid, tiny as could be, and he could shoot better than almost anyone I've ever seen. I mean, this guy, he would never miss a shot. He would make us look like complete fools, and he was literally half the size of us. So fast forward about 10 years ago, I get this message on Facebook asking if I was the same Josh who used to play basketball on 21st Street back in the 90s. I'm like, yeah, that's me. And he's like, I'm that little kid they used to shoot the ball around with. And I'm like, what? Yeah, so he is here today, and we are going to be talking about some of those old days and what's been going on the last 30 years. It's kind of like a catch-up here. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome to the show the one and only Mr. Jared Ellegood. Woo! Yeah, Jared! How you doing, man? How's it going?
Oh, I'm doing well. I'm in my garage trying to hide from the rain.
Is it raining out there?
A record fucking April reminds me of Auburn is what it reminds me of, in the early 90s, and even statistically it was the top 5 wettest Aprils from however many years, which is crazy because last year it was record highs. We went from an ice storm in February to 90 fucking degrees, it seemed like.
You're in Oregon, right?
Salem, yeah, just an hour south of Portland.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Now, how long have you lived in Portland or Salem?
Salem. So we actually moved in '98. Well, we moved from Auburn to Lacey in '95.
Gotcha.
And then we moved to
kept going south.
Yeah, we pretty much did that because we moved to Oregon in '98. So essentially from there, we just kept going south. We ended up in Southern Oregon, Roseburg, which is, I don't know if you ever heard of Grants Pass or
is it by Medford or different area?
Eugene, where the college team we both hate is from. And you couldn't get a more stark contrast between Eugene once you get past Eugene and Roseburg in every way, culturally, politically, everything. Because Eugene's a college town, and then Roseburg's this backwards podunk place, which is just an hour south.
Yeah.
But you're talking complete polar opposites. But anyway, I ended up there for 16 years, lived about 2 or 3 different lives there, and ended up having kids and, marriage.
So how many kids do you have?
I have 1 biological, and then I've somehow always stumbled onto this role of being the dad to many, if you know what I mean.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. It's just the way life's worked out. But
right on.
Yeah, my son, he's about ready to graduate high school next month and deciding to go into the Air Force of all things.
Wow. So what does he want to do in the Air Force?
I know he wants to do something, because that's kind of a good branch to go in if you actually want to have a career and, transfer into something, in the civilian world. So he's a pretty intellectual dude. He likes to read and loves Bernie Sanders somehow. He loves to talk shit to me, about all that. And it's pretty funny. So, he's a smart kid. He's a smart kid. He, of course, he's grown up in the age of the internet and all that. So he was born in 04. So
we were kind of getting into the whole how did we reconnect, because I definitely want to get into how we met originally, which is an interesting story.
Yeah.
So how did I mean the last time I saw you in person, you were about this tall. So you were really, I don't even know how old you were. I don't even.
Yeah. You know what's weird is, I remember you from because you graduated in 94?
Yeah. Yep.
The reason I remember that is because you were the same age as Franco and
Bacco.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember weird shit like that, like times and dates, and like I don't even try to, I just do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it served me well in some ways, but it's like I can remember shit like that. But it seemed like the last year we lived there, I don't remember seeing you much, but I remember like basketball. I remember like because you lived on the far end of 21st, and we were
Right.
kind of
So
like
basically, we were on 21st Street in Auburn.
In Auburn.
And there was they had like this family, the Crabtrees, they had this like, they built this like half court, like literally like a half court basketball.
Crazy. Yeah. I've never seen anything like it.
Right in the middle of the street.
And every time I move somewhere, it's almost like I'm trying to want to create that. I wish I would see that again, but I know I won't. I know
it's hilarious.
Like some sort of
It was awesome, like for growing up. I mean, because it's like dead smack, like it's kind of like in the middle of the, the long street that we were on.
You had the full 3-point line, the full free throw. Yeah.
And I'd go down there, we'd play ball and stuff like that. But like, I just remember you were always out there shooting hoops. And the funny thing is, I could not believe how good you were, because you're like this tiny little kid, and you're playing against us, and you're whooping our asses. I was like, and I just, I was so fascinated with talking to you, because I was really curious about the fact that you couldn't play organized sports. And I was like, it upset me so much. I was like, are you kidding? Like, you're better than anybody I've like ever met at like your age at basketball. And you would act like you're going to shoot, and we'd just go flying past you. And then you just like, make a hoop, and we'd be like, dude, this is insane. This kid's like ridiculously good. So
that was some fun time.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy. And we're like, we're seniors, like in high school, and we're playing this like little kid down the street. So that's how basically I would, go down there, and we just, when you're shooting hoops and there's nothing else going on, you're just like, doing small talk. And that's how I kind of got to know you a little bit.
Right.
And so basically between you and Franco, I was so fascinated with your guys' religion. Now, are you still practicing that religion or?
Hell to the fuck no.
Because that's like Bacco too. I mean, like no.
Back when I had Facebook, you could probably tell I was well off of that.
Kind of went the other direction.
I kind of did. Like
that's kind of what happens though, isn't it? Like because if you have like those overprotective parents, they always kind of like go the other way, or like the daughters.
I think with me, I was always kind of had a natural disdain, I guess you could say, for authority anyway, just naturally. So the way I looked at it is, the more that shit was pushed on me, the more I rebelled. Like, as much as a 9-year-old can rebel. Yeah. But I mean, literally by the time I was 16, I refused to keep going. And you know what that kind of religion does is it breaks up a lot of marriage. Like, my dad and my mom aren't together anymore. They got divorced after almost 30 years because my dad was never about it. He was playing along the whole time.
Oh, wow. Okay. So your mom was the one that was.
And she's still, and honestly, if you looked up what a lifetime of that shit would do, her picture would come up under like brain. Like, she's just.
Well, it's an interesting religion too, because like,
knows nothing else.
Well, it's weird too, because like, for people that don't know what we're talking about, what religion, it's like Pentecostal, right? So that's like, I was so fascinated because like, I didn't know that many people up until Bacco, and Bacco was, boy, man, he was not into it either. I mean, he would sneak over to my place and watch, Three's Company. Like, that was like a horrible thing.
Yeah, but that was like hardcore, Yeah.
Right. And so basically there's the rules are pretty strange. Like, as far as it's almost like you're kind of like like a pilgrim or something, but you're living in the modern world, right? So it's kind of like weird. I don't understand how you can prevent people from doing certain things that you don't, you know what I mean? Like, it's really bizarre.
Well, it's crazy because I'm so far removed from it now. I mean, we're talking 20.
Oh yeah.
Years. So it's like I've always been like just confused as fuck, just because I was in it at an early age. I'm just as confused about it as you.
Right.
Because I never lived it in adulthood at all.
Well, I just remember talking to you too, and I'd be like, "Oh man," I go, because you would listen to the radio religiously, because that was like what you had, right?
That's what I had, yeah.
Yeah. So, and you knew all the all the shows, like, like Graz and Gas and like, the Mitch and the more, all the shows and everything, all the sports radio guys. But the thing that you didn't know, which also upset me, is like, we would talk about Jordan and, Kemp and all these guys, and you're like, no, I don't get to see those guys. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, how are you so good at basketball if you don't aren't able to emulate these heroes, for kids?
That was the craziest thing. And there were a lot of guys in the Pentecostals that were athletic.
Yeah, I'm sure, because that's all you can do, right?
Because they were totally all about playing sports, and being active.
Right.
They were all about it. That's
all the Mormon guys I used to know. I mean, including the Crabtrees, they were super good athletes because that's kind of like what they had going on. Yeah.
Difference with the Mormons definitely encourage, but organized sports, but they have some weird shit that they do too. I remember they couldn't play on Sundays, and they could,
Right. I remember and I kind of felt bad for that too, because here we are using their court, and they're peeking through the window and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is weird. This is so weird.
They would do that shit. Yeah.
So no,
that's awesome.
So weird. So how did your mom get into that religion? I mean, I don't want to spend the whole time on religion here, but how did your family get into that?
She was born into it.
Oh, okay.
And then so my dad got into it. They met in the Bay Area in California. He was there in the military.
Okay.
She was teaching Christian school there in the Bay Area. Then this is the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, and he kind of got into it because someone kind of convinced him, dude, you're all this rock music you're playing and all this stuff you're doing, you're going to go to hell. And for whatever reason, my dad was influenced by that enough to get into that. And then he met my mom. So of course things went from there, and then they had us, and we moved out to Seattle at 91. And
that was going to be that was going to be.
Yeah, we ended up finding that church that was there. That church in Auburn just happened to be one of the more extreme versions.
Oh wow!
Because to be honest, Josh, there was other churches that were in that same category.
Yeah.
That were okay with sports, that were okay with some even with TV, which is crazy at the time. A lot of them now are.
Yeah, because that's what Bacco was saying. How they have internet sites and stuff, and
the internet really changed everything. It was almost like something said, "What's the fucking difference?"
Well, yeah, it's one of those things where it's well, if you go online, you could get twice as many people and twice as much money, and they're like, "Huh, that's an interesting, point you're making."
We all know what that boils down to begin with. And it's just, I honestly have a complete disdain for all religion.
I bet.
To be honest with you.
So you went all throughout school, period, without playing any sports or organized sports, right? Or did you?
Yeah. Well, I did end up playing summer baseball at 16.
Oh, okay. Well, because you were able to.
Yeah, kind of break away. My dad by that point was basically fuck you.
Okay. Okay.
Which, but what really sucked was by that time, you think of a game like baseball, where at 16 years old, guys are throwing curveballs.
Oh, yeah.
And you got to have I hadn't seen live pitching in forever.
Right.
So it was trying to catch up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think in basketball, I was competing right with the same guys in high school. They could, because of my shooting, they were begging.
You were definitely a shooter. Yeah.
Get me out there and play. But with baseball, it's such a specific thing that you have to keep playing. Yeah. You gotta progress through even as a kid, you gotta be able to, and it's time at the plate. Defensively, I could still field ground balls and throw and turn double plays. And
right.
And I was running down stuff in the outfield, because I was decent speed.
Yeah.
But when it came to hitting, it just was not there because I had never seen pitching.
Right.
You have to see pitching.
Hitting in general is hard. That.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
guys hitting, 300.
Don't they say that's one of the hardest things to do in all of sports is just hit a ball. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of, for many years, I was pretty upset about that because it's I felt like my whole childhood was cheated.
Yeah, I don't even know if you remember me talking to you about that, but I mean, for years after that, I would talk about, it's this little kid down the street.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad for this kid because he's so good.
I always remember you saying, because I remember, you're a Dan Marino guy. I was like, I remember I've seen Dan Marino live. Like,
yeah,
you were really trying to be,
Yep.
Oh,
Big Dan Marino guy over here.
That would have been the time, like in the '90s, to go and see like Griffey, and for me, Griffey and Kemp, and
not necessarily the Seahawks,
not
but the
Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. No. Could you collect like baseball cards? And I mean,
you weren't supposed to, but I did.
Okay, because that way you could put a face to the. I guess you could read the newspaper and stuff and see that too. So
see, that's another not supposed to.
Right. It's like almost like they're encouraging you to like rebel, because I don't know, it's like if all this stuff is out there and everybody but you is able to have access to this stuff, and it's not illegal, like, to anybody else. I mean, that's what kind of like happened with like, just with like marijuana and stuff like that. They made it, illegal for so many years that people still got a hold of it. It's not like, you know what I mean? Like,
and that's the other thing I found is like later in life, even, take a religion out of it.
Yeah.
Like I've been able to, I kind of have, because of my jaded perspective on people, I guess, and manipulation, like I can spot a manipulator 3 miles.
Oh, I bet.
Like,
yeah.
And it pisses people, because
your bullshit factor is probably at, right around 9 there.
And I'm pretty blunt. So
yeah,
it's like,
Now, do you still shoot hoops and stuff, or?
I do.
As much as you
I
can.
love sports still. I play racquetball competitively.
Gotcha.
I like to run and lift and all that.
Awesome.
The last few years, I've kind of fallen off a little bit as far as the fitness thing goes. But
it doesn't get easier; it gets harder.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is as you get older, you need to do it more. And I tend to, because of the work I do and some of the stress and stuff, I end up whereas I used to take it out on the gym equipment, the track. Now I take it out on the beer, So
that's awesome.
So I still, I have a physical job, so I still stay in relatively good shape, but definitely not to the standards that I'm used to, for sure.
Right. Yeah. Now, do you remember any of the other guys that were like on that street? Because I used to come down there with like Velasco and like Mike Zahn and stuff like that. I don't know if that was like, I think that was right around the same time frame. Do you remember any of the other?
I only think I remember Velasco because I remember the brown guy.
Yeah, Velasco. Yeah, so he would be like, Velasco is like a lot different than me, because Velasco, he would always be so competitive no matter what, and it didn't matter to who. Like I remember him like blocking you and stuff. I'm like, dude, like. This is like a little kid over here. You're like just sitting here, just like slant, like he thinks he's Shaq or something like that. And I'm like, all right, man. Like he's like, fuck that little kid. And I go, dude, what? You don't need to be an asshole to this kid. He's like, he could shoot better than you can. So
that was funny. I actually remember if it's the same one I think of, which I'm pretty sure it is, because I've seen the pictures of him. I remember because I just started talking shit. I think because of that. Because I've been doing that, so I started talking shit. Just as much as an 8-9-year-old, whatever.
Yeah,
kid
sure.
He was actually getting pissed at you guys were dying.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I one of my favorite pastimes is making fun of Velasco and laughing at Velasco. It's like one of the greatest things ever. I love it. So yeah, anytime, and especially if there's like a little kid talking trash, or like if we're playing horse or pig or something like that, and you're making shots and he misses one. Oh, it's the greatest thing ever. Are you kidding me? Yeah. So that was always fun.
We had some great times out there because I think back, we only lived there for like 4 years.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Cause I probably went off to college after that.
Yeah. Cause now that I think about it, it was like 96. So it was almost 5 years that we lived there.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it was a little bit of time. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, did you hear any of the Franco Bacco episode?
I watched that whole thing. Yeah.
It was funny because when I started that, I kind of started it like we did today. We're just starting it here. So, because we're kind of playing catch up here as we go. So Bacco, I didn't know that he wasn't a part of the church anymore. So he just went off. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm so curious about these kind of religions. So I'm all.
I love that story about the video store. what are you guys doing there? And
yeah, he's like he's looking around.
I love
and stuff like
it
the entire
when
time.
you say like, so someone sees you, like, what do we do? Like,
Oh, I know, yeah. Like, okay, well, if someone sees you and they're from the church, don't you just look at them back? Like, what do you guys do? Do you just like, I didn't see you, you didn't see me, or it's so ridiculous.
you can't make this shit up. Like,
I know, it's great. Yeah, it was so funny.
You really can't make this shit up.
And it's so funny because, I mean, I can't stress to people enough that I was not like a punk kid. I didn't get into like crazy stuff, but hanging out with Bacco in these situations made me feel like I was like doing the worst shit ever. And I'm like, this is so ridiculous. I'm keeping watch for my buddy who's in a religion that won't let him go into a video store. This is so ridiculous.
Like living vicariously through.
It's so ridiculous.
Him, like you're quote unquote bad. Like, well, yeah, like I can just tell like from your story, like you didn't do shit wrong. Like,
right. I mean, if you were to have kids,
well, for sure,
like you'd want me as your son or daughter or something like that. Yeah, I was not. I didn't get into like a lot of. I mean, I got into trouble and stuff sometimes, but it wasn't crazy stuff. You know, like my parents weren't bailing me out of jail and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I remember like my dad even talking about stories from, he grew up in the South in the 70s, talking about like going out and drinking and getting into a head-on collision with this guy, not, high rate of speed, but like on these country roads. He gets out, looks at his car, he's like, oh, I've been drinking a little bit of Jack Daniels myself.
Right. Yeah, they didn't have drinking and driving laws back then.
Yeah, it was like you look at like people in the news, like Bush back in the early 80s. It was basically like getting a speeding ticket.
Yeah.
He's like, I paid a fine,
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So it was definitely a different world back in the day. Yeah. For sports, would you? I know that you're a basketball and I don't know, baseball fan. Like, what are your
as far as what I follow,
pecking orders?
Yeah, as far as what I follow it all except for golf. I've never been able to get into golf. I love speed. I love action. Yeah, because even in baseball, there's moments of anaerobic. Thing. And that's what drew me to racquetball in my.
Were you able to catch any of the steroid years for baseball? That was some fun shit watching that shit.
Oh yeah, the late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, craziness.
Oh man, that was funny.
Like the Mariners, dude. They haven't made the playoffs since I was in high school.
Right. Yeah. And it looks like they have a pretty decent team setting up here.
Yeah, I'm hoping they're kind of
every year though. Every year, someone's like, This is our year. I'm like, it's like said every year. Like it's the year of the Mariners here.
Well, you can relate. Like, did you ever actually realistically think you'd see the day where the Seahawks would win the Super Bowl?
Oh man, I
mean, before like
no, I mean,
and
every year we'd have hope. It'd be like the 90s, or like we've had these conversations before where the 90s were great if you were a Sonics fan or a Mariners fan, or it's Huskies. Excuse me, Huskies.
Think about the irony in that, because living there and growing up there in the 90s, seems like there was always the threat of either the Mariners or the Seahawks leaving. Right. You never heard anything about the Sonics leaving ever.
Yeah, right.
Not even the slightest whisper.
Yeah. And then really good teams don't ever leave.
Then all of a sudden, they sell the team to this dude from Oklahoma, and they're like gone the next. It seemed like the next day. Like
yeah, and everyone's lying. What a piece of shit thing that was. Dude. Yeah. So there's no Sonics anymore. Are you a Trailblazers guy now or what?
When I first moved here, I kind of did. They had the Scottie Pippen, Damon Stoudemire. They were good. And just. I have such a disdain for that franchise, and I can never be a totally a number one, because the Sonics.
Bro, is he the announcer there?
He is, actually.
That's wild. That's crazy.
I don't know if you remember Brian Wheeler,
I know the name.
AJR. He was on there for just a little while. Well, he ended up being the Blazers announcer for like 20-something years and had some health problems.
Wow.
Yeah, nice. So Calabro's actually the announcer on TV.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Root Sports, which is the old Fox Sports Northwest, where all the Mariners and Blazers. Yeah, I have TV now.
Wow. Yeah. So do you have like all the cable channels and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous how much I have. Like
you're like, I don't screw around anymore.
I see all these. Yeah, and that's the crazy thing is I hardly watch any of it, but I like having it all in case I do, kind of thing.
You must go crazy on YouTube, like just typing in all the old stuff that you couldn't watch when you were a kid and stuff like that.
I did that. Like I actually I'll sit there and watch like stuff like Mariners and Sonic stuff from the 90s, and it'll be literally the first time
That's so crazy. Yeah, that's wild. But it makes sense.
God bless YouTube. Well, another thing, and I'm sure you were going to get into it too, but another thing that I got into late in life because of that is music.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Like
absolutely. Seattle in the 90s, music.
Yeah, well, yeah, and we're talking like, my 20s when I finally got into like going to concerts and listen to what they called secular music,
Yeah, what is your first concert?
Is actually so I was 29.
Oh wow. That's a late concert.
It was an Oregon State Fair concert.
Okay.
And all it was Sublime, which obviously is not the original.
Right. Yeah.
With Rome.
Oh, okay. Sublime with Rome. Okay.
Well, we're talking almost 30 years old. I found an addiction that I didn't even know I could have. And that was live music.
Yeah. I love live music.
Honestly, that's what got me into drinking as much because I associated it all. And I became single at the same time.
Uh-oh.
After I got married pretty young and
what age did you get married?
Like 20.
20. That is young. That is
way
young.
Too young.
Yeah, that's pretty young.
So, I never lived like a single lifestyle. So I went from the religion to the full on so I got into music at the same time too, and everything else that goes along with that.
Yeah. So what kind of music are your main, what's
80s,
your
80s
music? Right on. So all 80s, just all
Motley Crue, Def Leppard.
Gotcha.
Poison,
the hair metal.
Alice Cooper, and I like I love the grunge era. I love the Alice. I love you. That's my favorite episode you guys did was the grunge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I could listen to that over and over and still
awesome.
pick up stuff that I didn't get the time before. Like a good movie kind of thing.
Oh, that's cool, man. We'll have to do another other episode of the grunge era. Yeah, because there's lots to cover. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So when it comes to music, just to stick on this topic here. Now, you said that your first concert was 29. Now, have you seen any of those old bands from the 80s?
Dude, yeah, since then kicking around? Between 15 and when everything shut down there for I saw so many. I've seen Def Leppard twice. I just went nuts.
That's awesome. Who's your favorite that you saw in concert? Who sounded the best?
You know what? You know who blows me away live is Whitesnake.
Oh, really? Wow.
I would not have expected that. But he sounds just it's his live show. He takes care of his band phenomenal.
Wow, that's awesome.
Best live, and I've seen them twice.
That's awesome.
The last time was in Vancouver at Sunlight Supply Amphitheater. I don't know if you've ever been there.
No.
But, yeah, it's just north of Portland.
Wow.
Well, now it's called they have a different sponsor, but
okay.
It was called Sunlight Supply Amphitheater. If you Google it, it'll come up. It's a Ridgefield.
Were they playing with somebody, or were they just on?
Yeah, I saw him with Jason Bonham's band.
Oh, really? Okay.
He does a whole Led Zeppelin sort of thing, and then Foreigner.
Okay.
Well, everybody
Foreigner right here.
Yeah, everybody told me, they suck live. They suck. They blew it away.
Oh, really? Yeah, because they have a new singer too.
And he's awesome.
I don't know his name, but Lou Gramm hasn't been there for a while.
Right.
But yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, if you replace the lead singer and you're that big of a band, you better be good.
Yeah, he's good. Queensryche.
I've seen them, no, I haven't seen Queensryche.
One of my favorite bands.
It's crazy you're naming all the bands that I haven't seen, which I've seen quite a bit of bands.
Lynch Mob, Great White. I've seen Tesla, like I said.
Great White. I'd be kind of scared. Did you see him at a little club? I'd be like,
Lucky Eagle Casino.
Lucky Eagle? Oh, really? Okay.
Which is outside of
know about the Great White, the famous Great White incident, right? In 2003, where they burned down that bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be terrible. God, that'd be horrible, man. So Whitesnake. That's cool, man. Yeah, I haven't heard that. So but I do like Whitesnake. I certainly like, that they have a lot of good songs that I like from the 80s, back in the heyday. Yeah.
Yeah, they played a lot of stuff that, of course, they played Still of the Night and all that, but Slide It In. You know what my favorite, though, on YouTube, if you go, it was a concert they did in London back in like 2004.
Yeah.
And the song Crying in the Rain, where Tommy Aldridge is playing a drum solo, and then he gets to the end and he starts playing it with his hands.
Wow.
And the dude's like amazing. Like at the time, he's like 50 something. He's just killing it. Wow. On the drums. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Did they have Tawny Katane roll around cars?
No. That'd be pretty cool. I love that music video though. Yeah.
There's no way I can let you get away without talking about this. Who is Michael Graulich?
Oh, fuck.
Wow. So just to paint a picture here. So so the Seahawks, they were in the Super Bowl. I think this was the second Super Bowl, which is the one that everyone calls the greatest Super Bowl ever. And I'm like, I beg to differ. I'd say the Super Bowl before that was the greatest ever.
I cannot even watch
it's disgusting.
Highlight. Yeah.
It's so gross. Yeah.
Can't even watch a clip from it.
Yeah. So so instead of running Marshawn Lynch, they pass, and I don't even know who this guy was. He was like a friend of a friend who she wasn't even like a huge friend or like whatever, apparently. But this guy out of nowhere like messages me. I was like, and I took a screenshot and I posted it because I was like, who sends someone like a message like this? What a weirdo. Like, what?
Yeah, shit talking selfie.
I was like, what is this? So yeah. So, but it was funny because well, that's the part that people don't realize. I just to put a name to the text, I put his picture underneath it.
Yeah.
But it looks like he posted his picture with it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
Well,
it just
remember he had like a Syracuse jersey or shirt on.
Right.
And it also basically said something like he went to Arizona State or
I don't know. I can't remember what he said.
Patriots fan at the same.
Yeah. He had all these like teams that he's like fans of and stuff like that, and he's like talking shit to me, and I was like, I don't even know you, but yeah, okay, you can.
You mad, bro?
Yeah, you could talk shit to me, I guess. I'll just blast it out. You know what? I almost put that on the 12th man page, which he would have. Oh man, you wanna. He thinks he was terrorized when he did it to me personally. Man, if I would have blasted that out to like 350,000 people, oh man, he would have been in a world of harm.
I would have, yeah.
But so basically, yeah, what it read is he goes, "You mad, bro? Laugh my ass off, fucking idiot," or something like that. I was like,
yeah,
Jesus Christ, like who are you? and so basically for every holiday and every every year, everyone's like, happy anniversary, everybody. It's the anniversary of whoever this guy is. And that thing has like, how many comments does that thing have? Like,
so I got rid of Facebook for various reasons a couple years ago, but
why'd you get off Facebook?
I just
getting in trouble on Facebook or something?
I was getting in trouble. We'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
I could see that because you're very not giving a shit about anything while you're on Facebook. For an example, sending messages to this guy, and you're like, "You want to see what I wrote to this guy?" And I go, "Well, you wrote that guy?" And you're like, "Oh yeah." And I'm like, "Oh God, what did you write?"
Remember? I think it was because I remember it because it was around the time right after I moved to Salem, so it was like around 2016 that he messaged me and said he was going to report me to the Arizona Cybercrime Unit.
Oh Jesus, he's the one that was messaging me.
Yeah, and you're like, should we like take this down? And I remember everybody on your page would comment back, and like there'd be time it just became like a world of its own. Like there'd be times like back in the early days of it, I'd be waking up on a Saturday morning like drunk or hungover, and I'd go reach for my phone like I do, and the first thing would be like I'd see a poster of you on my wall like, "Good morning, buddy."
It became a fun thing where we're like, I see that guy now and I get happy. I almost made a T-shirt of that dude on my shirt so I could wear it around, which would be really funny if I ran into him at a bar or something like that.
That'd been awesome. Oh, yeah, he started like messaging he messaged my brother, my cousin.
What is wrong with this guy? Who is this guy?
He's like, you gotta help me out here, like something about his job or his work.
No way. What a weirdo.
Yeah, and it didn't make any sense, but he made it sound like it was like really affecting him. But the stuff he said didn't add up. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Wonder what his deal was. I don't know.
Arizona. I just remember Arizona cyber crimes.
Whatever. Yeah, like they don't have enough shit to worry about. Real shit, probably. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, someone called you a name after you talk shit to them? Oh, whatever, dude.
Yeah, like 3 years later. Oh.
So going back into sports here real quick. Now, do you follow any other teams besides the Seattle teams, or the Seattle teams your main?
Well, I follow sports, so I know, but as far as favorite teams, I'll always be a Seattle. Yeah, everything.
Gotcha.
Like, we got the Kraken now, and
right.
I lived there during that time when you're forming, favorite teams and all that.
Right. Now, who is your favorite athlete of all time?
Being a baseball guy, I'd actually say Mickey Mantle.
Mickey Mantle? Okay.
A guy that played baseball and drank and partied and had fun and lived that whole lifestyle like of the 50s,
Right. What I'd say, like, being a baseball player in like the 50s and 60s must have been the greatest thing ever. Just an athlete in general, like for any sport. Now with social media, you gotta really behave. But back then, those guys could, Jesus, imagine the shit they got away with.
And to be honest, society's changed too. With expectations, like, I'm sure now, guys that are married, their wives are telling them when to be home. Like, back then it wasn't.
You track them now on Twitter and stuff.
back then, it was just a different thing,
Yeah.
That I remember. I'm watching this HBO series that they're doing on the Lakers in the 80s.
Oh yeah, I'm watching that.
And it's based off a book that's very detailed about it.
I bet.
By Jeff Pearlman, and Pat Riley actually told had a meeting with the wives, said basically leave your husbands fucking alone during the season. Wow. Like, and this is the 80s, It's not the 50s, but it's not the 2000,
Yeah.
He's basically like telling them to know their place.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always wondered that. Like, you have like, you see in this doc, or not doc, it's like a, what do you call this? Like just some kind of sort of like
a mini series. Yeah.
Yeah, mini series. There you go. So like basically you have like a Cookie, and Cookie goes way back to like high school. And I'm like, wait a minute, she's been around since high school? Yeah. That's crazy. They're still together.
That was his high school girlfriend, and he put her through a lot of shit.
Oh yeah.
To put it mildly.
Yeah, no kidding.
Taking away the obvious.
Because like he's kind of like those guys that like say that, hey, my addiction was not drugs and alcohol. My addiction was sex. Yeah. And his was definitely on that end, right?
There's literally stories of them having parties at Bus's house and bars and stuff.
Yeah, Playboy Mansion, all that shit.
Where he's drinking orange juice the whole time and water. Because he did. Like,
that's crazy.
They'd go have a fucking orgy.
That's probably how he had a hand up on some of those guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
because he didn't want to interfere with his basketball, so he didn't want to do any. Yeah.
You mentioned that you drink. Do you get hungover?
I do sometimes.
Because I'm starting to ask people this question, because there's a large part of the population that just don't get hungover. And I'm not one of those people. I really have to like watch what I do and like really take care of myself, prep before I like, go to sleep, and I have to do all this stuff so I don't get like, so hungover that the next 3 days are not just like a complete nightmare.
Yeah. So what I have noticed as I've gotten older is I don't recover as fast. Like, now we're talking all the way up until my mid-30s.
Yeah.
I can stay out all night and go to work at 6 a.m.
Jesus. So do you drink during the week?
Like every now and then.
Yeah.
Well, I would do that, like go out to bars and
right.
But then like after I'd go work out afterwards.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah. In your like 20s. Oh yeah.
Something about, even up for me, like up until like my mid-30s, I could do that. But the last 3 years, like I just like I have to think, do I work the next day?
Yep. It starts to creep up on you. Yeah.
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 And another thing I didn't really do up until recent, like I used to just be primarily a beer drinker, but the last few years I started kind of hitting the hard A a little bit with the beer. So
yeah,
the shots in the beer.
Ooh, that'll get you. That's where it gets you right there. Yeah. And it's always funny because I always would talk about shots, and people are always doing shots. People are like, it's a communal thing. We're like, yeah, man, let's do a shot. Yeah. I'm like, ooh. And I look at the clock and it's always like, no, it's 20 minutes to closing. I'm like, God, could there be a worse time to do shots? But that's always when they do shots. They're like, let's do a shot. Yeah. I'm like, everyone's like doing shots. And I'm like, oh man. So then I go home and I pass out and then I have a shot in me that's just sitting there. It's like the worst, but
yeah,
I'd do it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's, that's where to me, like it just kind of all came together for me, like the music, the party, and stuff I guess I didn't do when I was younger.
Right.
Started doing, so
yeah, it's fun.
It's I don't know. It's like a lifestyle. It gets to be a lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. Who are some of those guys that like? God, who's that golfer that was like just always partying and shit? What was his name?
John Daly.
Yeah, John. The clips I've seen of that guy are hilarious
too.
That
dude would be stoked with 10 sheets to the wind, teeing off on
Yeah, he's just so reckless and shit.
Yeah.
Some of these guys like that are just like hilarious to me. I don't know how people could not like those guys. I guess people that would see those guys and get pissed are people like that would be like a religious type that would be like, what a waste. Imagine how good he would be if he didn't do that. Because he's already that good when he's like drunk and hungover and stuff like that. I'm like, you got a point, but I mean, it could relax him.
As as you actually get into the world and you see, like, it's always fascinating to be people and like, someone like yourself that's stable and doesn't really like, that likes to have fun, but doesn't, take it to the extreme where it's going to fuck up. Then there's people that just don't give a shit like at all about anything, but yet on the surface, they still sort of, they have a job and,
right.
But it was almost like, I guess I'm kind of in between some of that somewhere, but it's like, I definitely do give a shit. But
yeah,
what I found as I've gotten older, it's almost like I've gotten more reckless is what they say. But I don't know how that's worked out. But
well, you're not in jail, so that's good.
No, I've no felonies, no, nothing like that.
There you go. There you go.
I pay my bills and got a good job, so I'm good there.
Now, I keep circling around the sports world here. Football.
Yeah.
Football. Who do you have a favorite football player of all time?
I would definitely. I've always loved Joe Montana.
Montana's a classic.
Yeah, it was my dad. That was the one. He wasn't too into baseball. Was his main thing.
Because you guys were down in the Bay Area in the 80s, right? During the heyday.
He was.
Okay.
He was.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't born yet.
You were just
He was always kind of a Montana Rice fan, so I always liked Montana. Basketball is definitely Peyton. Like I'm a Gary Payton. Yeah.
Gary Payton was awesome. The glove.
The glove, yeah.
The
last guard to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Wow.
Think about that. Man. 96.
Did you see the Jordan doc?
I watched the whole thing.
That's great. Is you like when he's like
phenomenal?
He's all I didn't have any problem with that. I was like, shut the hell up. He played you so hard.
Yeah.
That thing was just such an ass kiss of Jordan. It was so great. That was a good doc though, man. That was a fantastic documentary.
Yeah. It was
so entertaining.
I love the 30 for 30s, like those.
Those are great.
Like the one they did on the Mets. They did like a 3-part series on the Mets.
Yeah. The old Mets team, awesome. All coked up.
That's another one that kind of goes with the play hard,
right?
On and off the field. Like I would have loved to have been a baseball player in the 80s,
right.
Like, on that team. Like,
oh man, yeah, they were nuts. Yeah. Okay, your favorite concert was probably Whitesnake. Now, who's your favorite band of all time?
Oh man, it's so hard because I like so many. One that I would have loved to have seen, and I listened to is AC/DC. I mean,
AC/DC is awesome. Did you ever see AC/DC live?
No, that's the thing, man.
Because they
like,
kind of stopped touring around.
People have told me like you need to see an AC/DC because like
great.
I would play them so much.
Lee and I went to see them. Actually, that was when I was working for the radio station, and they had this big tour bus that they had, and it was basically like a promo. It's probably just like this thing that they made just for promos. But anyway, they had this big giant bus, and what they did is they'd start it at the radio station, and then people that won the contest got to go ride in that bus all the way down from Seattle down to the Tacoma Dome for the concert. And then for the concert, we went in, and it was awesome, man. They had like a big what was that song? The song about the big chick. A whole lot of Rosie. Yeah, big like balloon like chick like floating in the air and shit.
There's just nothing like their sound.
It was awesome.
And the energy of it, and the live. Of course, it's amazing live.
Yeah, they're great, man. Yeah, they're good.
I remember you telling me you saw them in like the Tacoma Dome, didn't you?
Yep, Tacoma Dome. Yeah, I wish I could have seen the Bon Scott years, but he died when I was a little kid. So, but yeah,
Brian Johnson,
Brian Johnson's fantastic. Yeah, great replacement. Remember someone puked on Lee at that concert. It was funny.
I mean, yeah.
He was. Oh, he didn't think it was very funny.
I think that was the concert you said you had some fun. You had a lot of fun
yeah, it was pretty fun. Oh man.
I did see Megadeth and the Scorpions there at the Tacoma Dome just a few years ago.
Oh, nice. Megadeth and the awesome. Scorps.
Yeah,
nice.
I love this. Yeah,
I haven't seen the Scorps.
The
Scorpions pretty good.
Been a great concert. I didn't like the venue.
Yeah,
it was a little dark, but the seats I had weren't great. But I mean, great concert. I mean,
that's awesome. Yeah, I'd definitely like to see the Scorpions. How did the lead singer of the Scorpions sound? Is he still sing? Because he used to sing really high.
He's got that really distinct sound, very German, you know.
Yeah,
I thought it sounded great.
Yeah. There are some like artists that amazingly still sound fantastic, and then there's like the artists where, I mean, for example, I'll just say this real quick. I saw Billy Joel and Elton John together, and Elton John probably has more hits, but Billy Joel, like his voice was insanely good. I was like, wow, unreal good. Elton used to have like that really high voice. No, he sings kind of like this, and I'm like, okay, well, it'd be awesome if you were Pearl Jam singing like that, but you're not Pearl Jam. You're Elton John, and you don't sound like you used to back in the '70s.
It cracks me up so much your impersonation of Eddie Vedder on the grunge.
Oh yeah,
and like my girlfriend, like we'll watch some of your podcasts together.
Yeah,
and Nikki, my girlfriend, she laughs like hell at some of the stuff you say.
I used to do a lot of that. I used to just always like mimic every single person that I used to always like walk around and stuff like that. Even all my friends, I'd be like do impersonations of all. Maybe I should do that one of these days, just to impersonate all my friends. Just go down the line, impersonate all my friends, stuff like that. But
that was fun.
Yeah. So like, have you seen the video of Bon Jovi lately?
Not lately.
That one's been going around, and it's not good. It's not
another
good.
Another one that did disappoint me, and I've seen him, is Joe Elliott from Def Leppard.
Oh, really? Okay, I haven't seen Joe Elliott in a while.
If you look at his live DVD from Denver and during the Hysteria tour with the rotating stage,
yeah,
and phenomenal. But you can kind of see with those guys that have that real distinct high voice, like you could see over time, like even Phil Anselmo from Pantera.
Yeah.
With all the growling and the yelling, like you hear him that, like you can't sustain that for
those hardcore bands
without like some change.
I don't know how they even do that. They must like all those like bands that like scream like every other night. Like they must be taking like some sort of steroid to heal their throat up or something. I don't know how they do it, but yeah, man.
One thing I would love to see Steve Perry with Journey, but it's never probably going to happen.
That won't happen.
Fighting about something.
It's almost smart though too that he's not, because like
he's such a different kind of dude. Like
he's not going to be able to sing like that anymore. I mean, you just, dude, the way certain guys like sing like that. Like I saw in concert before he killed himself, not Cornell, but the guy Brad Delp of Boston, and this was like 1997, 98, something like that.
Yeah,
and he was at the Gorge. And it was kind of funny, and I always respected this because he goes, hey, let me introduce the band. This is Tom Schultz, on guitar and blah, blah. And then this guy, and it was like, who's this dude? Like, but the guy that was standing next to him, he was there. He goes, he's here to help me with the high notes because I can't hit that shit anymore. And I go, I respect that, because that guy, you listen to that first Boston album, which is one of the greatest debut albums of all time, and the notes that guy is hitting on that album are so ridiculously insane that I don't know how he ever hit those in the first place, let alone 20 years after that, singing at the Gorge, trying to hit those. But that's why I always like give a nod to the grunge guys, because like, you know, Eddie Vedder, I mean, he could probably sing like till he's dead, like the way he sings. You know what I mean?
I love Pearl Jam. I listen to them all.
Who's your favorite grunge band?
I kind of get on these kicks where I'll listen to a certain band. You know, Alice in Chains is, to me, you can't beat them. But
I think they're just so versatile.
I love Pearl Jam stuff live. It seems like it's actually hard to find some original Alice in Chains stuff, like good live footage of.
Yep.
Obviously, because it was, you know, because that's my thing when I'm looking on YouTube. That's like that's what I'll do when I get on a good little drinking session. I'll start watching music videos.
Yeah,
I'm kind of weird like that. Like I can't drink a lot if I'm watching a movie or watching sports, because I'm so into what I'm doing. But like if I'm listening to music, that's when I'll drink. But like I'll get on these kicks where I'll watch a bunch of music, and I just cannot find a lot of good like I can't even find really a good documentary on them, which is crazy because
they need to make one. It's long overdue. They need to make one.
It's been 20 years since you know, Lane, but so I think that's kind of why. But even like Nirvana, it's hard to find like good live footage. But Pearl Jam, it's like limitless. It seems like. Yeah, and
Pearl Jam has a lot longer of a. Yeah.
Well, they haven't. Yeah. You know, and to their credit, they haven't. You know, they've maintained a relatively healthy lifestyle. Yeah. It seems like.
Well, yeah, and he's alive.
Yeah, that's the one band that's the one band for whatever reason. Yeah, for whatever reason, didn't fall into that whole substance abuse thing.
Have you ever seen Pearl Jam live?
No, I want to.
Okay, yeah.
There's a lot of bands. A lot of bands I haven't seen. I haven't been to a concert since 2019. I had tickets to both Pat Benatar and Seether for the State Fair, because the State Fair was
different nights.
Consecutive nights.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah. That'd be funny.
Seether opening up for Pat Benatar.
Yeah. But 2 days before because they were going to play here at the State Fair here in Salem.
Yeah.
And they put the mask mandate back in 2 days before.
Oh, 2 days before. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's how our concert sitting there with a mask on.
Our governor likes to do that. So
he likes to do that.
But what I found out later on was most people just said fuck it, didn't wear it anyway.
Yeah. What are they gonna do? Like that. Yeah, I think my brother said that too.
Everybody from Portland came down and was all petrified about it, you know. So
yeah, I'm glad. Hopefully that shit is like way behind us, and you know, I mean,
you guys have been
open. Nice.
Yeah, you guys have been open for a while down there, haven't you?
Yeah, they should have definitely like a little bit down here, and yeah. So you were talking about possibly you're flirting with the idea of maybe moving south. Is that correct?
We've talked about it a little bit.
I've known a bunch of friends that have moved down.
She's got some family there.
Oh, really?
And of course, for me, it's, you know, both of us, we both hate rain, even though we're from the Northwest. There's
you're not in a good place to hate rain.
There's a lot of logistic stuff that needs to happen, you know, for that to happen. But it's almost like if you're going to pay high wherever you go, you might as well live somewhere where you like better. That's nicer. But
yeah,
you know, there's a lot that's got to happen before that's even seriously considered. But
yeah,
I don't see myself dying in Salem necessarily either. You know,
I hope not.
I've been in the Northwest since '91 too. So
wow, yeah. I mean, I moved out here like 10 years ago now. So
yeah,
I've been here just over 10 years, and yeah, it's going pretty good. But
I remember you saying it was the best thing you ever did.
It is one of the best things I ever did, because basically when I came down here, you could actually afford to buy a place.
Yeah.
And I eventually bought a place after I, started working somewhere for a while. And yeah, so because in Washington, I couldn't even think about buying a place, but down here, it wasn't crazy yet. So I was able to buy a place, and I found a good job, and yeah, it's been nice. I've been having a good time, and for the first couple of years when I lived here, every day I had to open up the blinds and it'd be like, wow, it's sunny out today. Can you believe this? Can you guys believe this? It's sunny out today. It's crazy. So yeah, so every day. It's like the opposite. Now, like in Oregon, Washington, when it gets sunny, that's like when it rains here. You're like, whoa, it looks like it's clouds.
This kid that I worked with, right? He was here in college. He was playing football here at Willamette, which is a lower level 4-year college here in Salem. He was a lineman, but he's from Phoenix. So, a summer break and all that last year, he went down to see his family. Well, actually, yeah, this was like late June when the Suns were in the playoffs, and it was hotter here in Oregon, 118 degrees one day than it was in late June where he was at in Phoenix.
Yeah, I remember that. This is like a heat wave, right?
It was insane.
Yeah, and people don't understand that live around here. They don't understand that when it gets like that up in the Pacific Northwest, there's no escape. Like generally people don't have air conditioning because it's like, why would you have air conditioning up here? Because it's like what?
Well, central air is definitely rare. Like
Now here that's one of the best things about down here, by the way, too, is if you want to go out and enjoy the weather, you can. But everything's air conditioning, and people have pools and stuff everywhere, so it's like you can escape very easily down here.
Yeah,
and, so
it'd be like not having AC down there would be like not having a heater up here. Like,
right? Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Very comparable.
Yeah.
Well, dude. Hey, man. Dude, it's been awesome talking to you, man. It's so crazy.
I've been wanting to do this for a while. Yeah.
How tall are you, dude? How tall are you?
I'm actually only 5'8".
5'8"? Okay, well you were like 3'8" the last time I saw you, so
yeah.
But that's crazy, man.
Yeah, and you know what? I've been 5'8" since about 13, 14 years old.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Well, I remember you were considerably smaller than I was, so you must have had a growth spurt and just kept it going.
I've gone through where I've ran a lot and been skinny, stuff like that. I used to run religiously, like 3-4 miles a day, and
that's
all
insane.
that. So yeah.
Oh, I don't think I've ever done that.
Yeah. Well, it looks like you're doing a good job. You're doing something.
I'm doing something. It's mainly what they always say is like it's like 90% diet, and then the rest, you could.
What is?
I used to add a lot of muscle, but like I'm.
What is your? Do you have a routine that you do, like a workout routine, or?
Not as much as I used to. I used to do weights pretty heavily. Like 3 days a week, pretty religiously for many years, like 25 years or something like that. But I'm staying trimmish. But yeah, it's just diet.
It looks like you're eating good.
Yeah, yeah. It's mainly diet. So
it really is. It really is.
And it's easy to slip with all the temptations of great foods and shitty foods and all that good stuff. Yeah. So, but so dude, maybe we can, if you come down to visit, we could maybe get a beer or something like that.
Honestly, Arizona's the one place I cannot believe I've never actually spent.
Oh, really?
I've been in the Phoenix airport, like for layovers and stuff.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But I now that I'm thinking about it, like I honestly, cause it's not that far.
Yeah.
Like I can't believe I've never actually spent time in Arizona.
Yeah.
Compared to all the other places I've been all over the country, and like I can't believe it. Honestly.
Right, man. Yeah. Definitely hit me up, and then maybe you could play some hoops, and you can kick my ass and hit some hoops. And I haven't played hoops in like 20 years.
Yeah.
That'd be a bloodbath.
That'd be fun. Yeah,
maybe. Hell, you were kicking my ass when you were a little kid.
maybe some. I'm kind of at the stage where we have to start with horse.
Yeah.
Go from.
If I can remember how to shoot.
I used to make fun of people because that's all they wanted to do. Now I would be that guy. At least starting out, breaking back into it.
Oh yeah.
So,
oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I still seem to be able to shoot no matter what. But.
Oh man. Well, yeah, I probably don't even know how to shoot anymore. Yeah, I used to have like a weird form, like who's that one? Bill Cartwright.
The elbow in and snap the wrist. Thank you, Brian Crabtree.
Yeah, right. There you go. Yeah, Crabtree. There you go. All right, dude. Well, hey, thanks for coming on. It's always fun talking to the the crew from 21st Street or 21 Jump Street. Oh, you like that? 21 Jump Street. That's good stuff right there.
Jason Primo on or somebody like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Primo. My brother knows Primo. Yeah, I could. Primo, that's awesome. Yeah, that's great. All right, for Jared Ellegood, I am Josh. And as always, thank you for being a friend.
Have a good one, man.